This player used to be an overwhelming favorite, but he's lost the last 2 series against his opponent. He wants to set things right here. In the top left side of Stargazers, it is Probe.
That was the top part of the round of 4 playoffs last season. 3-2, close map score. But this guy is going to try and win that, is going to continue that winning record in his brain here. From M8 Hexa, representing Malaysia and the Protoss, this is Ranger.
Yeah, ran into a wall against Teeble last season, did Ranger. It was the lower finals there where Teeble blocked his ascent into the top 2. But he was really playing very well up to that point, of course. You know, taking down Probe was huge, having a very close series with Teeble. Now, Ranger is hiding a Probe out here. It looks like he just wants to hide a Pylon and then go Scout. He could proxy off it, but that to me looks like I'm just going to hide a Pylon here, Pylon.
Yeah, the keep you guessing Pylon. It's proxy that certainly could happen, especially if the Probe stays there, then it's guaranteed to be one. And then with the patrol there, all right. All right, so Ranger is going to proxy something. Usually we keep an eye, so for all you guys watching from home, you're like, how do the casters make these big, great calls? We keep an eye on the gas count. We keep an eye on the amount of gas being mined, what is going to go down there, and the timing of the cyber core, of course. What is likely going to be the tier 2 structure that is hidden.
Yeah, I'd imagine this is just double adept into Stargate Oracle for Ranger, but oh my.
All right.
That's a very quick robo before Gateway Unit. Now, Probe, if he was looking at his worker just then, he would have seen that the gateways did not light up when they finished. That is a big tell. Ranger is not building gateway units. And the reason is because he's put a structure down. So Probe knows, and he's going to scour the map looking for this. And I think he's going to glimpse that robo. Very good scouting for Probe right now as he goes for his own double stalker.
And scouting is imperative when you're not only playing PvP, but playing PvP against a guy that you know is aggressive. And he just sees the robo there with that Probe. Great scouting. He's got the information.
Been seen. Now, Ranger knows it's been seen. You can see a slight reaction on Ranger's face. Not happy it's been found, but PvP, if there's anything we've learned from Haas, it's a matchup where you've got to just flow with whatever's happening. And look at that. The robo finishes, a Twilight goes down. Ranger's like, all right, I'll play one base blink. You know, going for an Immortal all-in, a quick Prism drop is probably not going to work. But you know what? You have to respect this. You can't expand in the face of it. Now, funnily enough, if Probe dropped a Nexus and was greedy here, this counters this one base Twilight. But he has to respect the robo. Oh, a fake chrono on the robo there? Wow. Actually, it was the tail end of the chrono for the observer. But still, he can kind of tell now, wait a second, are you really committing to this? If Probe can realize that it is actually just going to be an expand build, and he gets the full info. Wow.
Incredible scouting from Probe to start this game off. Catches the robo, confirms that expansion with the Probe. Yes, it cost him a worker, but this is absolutely worth way more than that for Probe. And he can expand himself now.
You know, Teeble tried to play very nasty against him on this map, and he caught everything. And it really starting to feel like this is actually a map where I'm saying it's really good for cheeky builds, for doing crazy stuff. But Probe's so well prepared for it, and he's crushing on this map. There is an Oracle on the way, but the Observer knows about it. So Ranger does have the... Oh, did Ranger just cancel his Nexus? What the hell, Maynard?
I guess he's going to cancel his Nexus, go for a one base all-in. Ranger is playing so weird, man. We've seen players like this in StarCraft before, where they, like, every time they're scouted, instead of just letting the thing finish and going with it, which sometimes is better, they are like, no, my opponent has to not know what I'm doing. And Ranger is definitely doing that right now, just dropping a bunch of gateways and going to go for a one base all-in on Blink.
The thing is, he was supply blocked for a little bit there. He's queuing up a Stalker accidentally rather than just letting it turn into a Warp Gate. He's really making a lot of mistakes. Now, Probe sees that he's not expanded. Probe's going to run in and start trading. This is a crazy move for Probe. Probe has a Nexus up. His Adept Shade goes in. I don't think he needs to commit to this at all. He really should get out of there.
Yeah, I think that the Stalkers are going to go home now. But let the Adepts do the whatever Probe damage he can get done, which intermittently is just none. So Probe does need to go home with his Stalkers. He's just checking to make sure that nothing else has been hidden out here, but going home is something that has to be done here because Ranger is one basing. And Probe's got that Nexus. He needs to start dropping shield batteries and start getting his defenses on that front line.
I don't want to call it as over, but this does not look scary for Probe right now. He's got Blink on the way,
super
so
ahead.
He'll catch up on it. He's got like equal army supplies, 7 more workers. Like this is not a scary timing. If you're down one Stalker and there's not even a forward warp in location, like he killed the Robo. Remember, he sniped the Pylon. There's been so much lost mining for Ranger trying to play so tricky here, and Probe's even got a stasis trap to fall back on.
And he's going to pull back on it, and Ranger, in his desperation, may just step on that if he's not paying attention to the shimmers.
Good micro so far by Ranger. He got 1 or 2 Stalkers there, didn't lose any of his own, so Probe perhaps a little bit too far forward. His Oracle will come out there, but
oh no, Ranger! Well, that's gonna take the win out of his sails a little bit here for this game. Probe's about to have Blink as well, and the shield batteries finishing in the natural are yeah, more than enough to hold on here.
This is a good micro by Probe. Notice he's trying to fight these Stalkers before the trap ends, making sure Ranger can't join up his forces, and look at that. Pulls the Probes as well, just makes sure he gets the best possible trade. Very well done by Probe. He's up 15 supply. He's still down on army supply. There is still a chance if Probe messes up a little bit here, but I think he's got battery overcharge waiting in the pocket. Here we go. Nice blink to the high ground for Ranger. Uses the shift to cue that one up there. And there is a shield battery on the high ground, though.
Yeah, it looks like Ranger shared his Stalker damage between the, the units going up the ramp and also that pylon. Maybe wanted to depower those gateways and getting that shield battery depowered, which would have been an amazing pickoff, but as it stands, Probe actually taking a decent start there to the defense. As Ranger goes up into the high ground, he gets a Stalker killed, and he's been tagged. So Probe's just going to continue to rotate and intercept. Once this Robo is done, if an Immortal hits the field, keep in mind that, looking at the workers here, Ranger is extremely all-in. There is no natural nexus. There is no plan B.
Probe's got to pull workers. Yeah, Probe's got to pull workers. He's at like half the army supply. It feels like he's not respecting this as much as he should be. Ranger's still a very good micro player. You can't let him get to double your army supply.
Yeah, that is not a good trade at all for Probe there.
Yeah.
He's still got 1 Stalker in the natural of Ranger, weirdly.
Okay, the Stalker's blinking forward, grabbing a few. Ranger can't be losing many units. He's got to be efficient. These Probes are so good at tanking, but the Zealot's very effective here. Probe, nice pullback on those workers. He's got to use the workers as a meat shield. Doesn't want to just chase too far with it, though. He's still got so much more mining going, though. Comes forward, gets a unit, does pull back there. An extra gateway is up. He could start an Immortal if he had the money, but he's very shy on cash right now. Stalker's coming in. This feels so desperate for Ranger. That Stalker counterattack is slowly going to pick away the pylons.
Yeah.
Ranger's all in. He can't afford to defend it.
He can't really afford to make pylons either, so in he comes with his units. The Zealots for Ranger definitely going to help a lot here, but they're kind of stuck. They're weirdly AIing, pathing out, and not getting a whole lot done. And now Probe's got a Zealot of his own, which the Stalkers are wasting their shots on. Meanwhile, the Stalkers are Probe getting full damage on that backline for Ranger. And when Ranger had that big supply, army supply lead, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe. But now I'm starting to think this is pretty over here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this was a great start for Probe. I do think his defense was just a little shaky in terms of Stalker production. Wasn't as frequent as it potentially could have been there. But his micro was pretty good. Pulling the Probes at the right time. Great battery placement. The reserve battery on the high ground from the early game really helped him out. And blinking into an Immortal. Ranger knows he's not going to get through there. Pulling out some mind games. But Probe's scouting was on point.
Indeed. And, man, I think... I know that we're going to have a little while before Probe plays in another tournament or anything like that, but I don't think we're going to be seeing too many proxies against Probe on Stargazers ever again in this matchup. He seems to know all the nook and crannies on that particular map.
Wow, even our lower third rider is getting excited there. Proxy Robo is a proxy no-no. Oh my gosh. Wow, some Probe supporters there. Damn.
Yeah, it feels like that the lower third rider should be the caster and I should be watching. Like that's so witty. Guys, we're going to take a short break. When we return, Probe versus Ranger Game 2, so don't go away. We'll see you soon. G'day StarCraft fans and welcome back to the Oceanic Rest of Asia main event here for the DreamHack Masters. I am Maynard, with me is Pig, and you are watching Ranger versus Probe. Probe currently being up 1-0.
Dude, that was a bit of a scrappy start. I think Probe played very clean, very defensive, but thinking about that game during the break, I'm thinking about building the Robo and not starting two Stalkers. This literally was waving a big flag in front of Probe's face saying, I'm proxying you right now. You know, why am I not building gateway units? So that can work really well if the transition was really fluid and smooth, but it felt like, I think Ranger just got a little bit too tricky. He got supply blocked and couldn't build the 4 Stalkers, which meant he couldn't even defend his Robo. We even had Probe coming in and scouting all of the tech and everything with a Stalker, a depth poke. I mean, I do think if he just went hard into the Nexus and didn't cancel it, it may have worked out, but he's going to need to play a little bit more confidently if he wants to take this guy down. In the top left side of Moondance, it is, of course, a player who is dominant in the macro game. He'd love to go to the mid to late game. He's an absolute beast. It's Probe.
And as evident on Stargazers, very hard to pull the wool over this guy's eyes. And in the bottom right, represented by M8 Hexa, he's far from done. From Malaysia, this is Ranger. Ranger's got the winning record on Probe. Last 2 best of 5s last season. Got him knocked down into the losers bracket. But what he really, really wants is to not be stopped at the top 3. He wants to make top 2 and top 1. And it looks like Probe's going to hide a pile in the corner here.
Very good choice. And interesting, it's a 1-gate expand for Probe, just with the high ground gateway. So it's, you know, usually it's 2 gates if you're on the high ground, but I actually love 1-gate expand and just building a Stargate in the corner of the map, somewhere where you can't find it. It's very hard to stop because the opponent just can't get the information. It's one of the last places you'll scout, and you're not so much trying to get away with like, oh, you know, this is going to be the fastest rush ever. It's more just, hey, you don't know what I'm doing. It's really hard for you to nail down exactly what I'm committing to.
And Probe is forcing out a Zealot here because you kind of have to do it when you 1-gate expand and you're being Probe scattered, because there is going to be a pylon in natural. And if you're just sitting there waiting for an Adept or a Stalker, you will never take a Nexus. As we can see, Probe in the bottom left has dropped that proxy pylon and has kept his Probe down there. So I think he is going to do what you mentioned, Pig.
Very solid build order. Yep, Stargate does go down. Double Adept for Ranger on the other side of the map off his 2-gate expand. Which does usually pair up with an Oracle behind it. So we might see both players flying Oracles into each other's bases, and normally it's the Taiwan region, Maynard, where I say, hey, you know, will the game go past 7 minutes when it's a PvP? But I think we've got to play that game in this series. Like, this is a really... this game could be over in the next 3 minutes.
Yeah. We got a very build ordery game, as I like to call it. This is when people get strategical and the build order choices kind of you know, weirdly intersect with each other, where it could end in either direction. It's not a checkmate for either player, but it certainly looks good. It's definitely check.
Stargate is, of course, done a little bit quicker for Probe. He committed pretty hard to this off 1 gate, but he doesn't quite have the gas. He went for Warp Gate and a Stalker. So he delayed his Warp Gate, but going for 2 Stalkers and Warp Gate does slow down his Oracle, so he doesn't have that big of a lead on it. He is going for 2 shield batteries, so very safe for him. Ranger's also dropping 2 shield batteries. Wow.
Both players really don't want to die. And I mean, that might make the game go a little bit longer here. Obviously, the shield battery on the ramp is going to be too useful, but the ones in the mineral lines are the ones that, you know, really kind of smack back the Stargate builds.
Zealot comes in for Probe, sees the Nexus is walled out for now. Ranger, once again, very slow on his 3rd pylon. Actually,
yeah, supply blocked.
Super late on that, and that's the same as last game. So supply blocked on 31 2 games in a row. Like I said, he's got to play confidently. He can't afford these little mistakes. Right now, the Zealot's going after the shield battery. Adept trying to get in for Ranger is very nice, but Probe's already up 4 workers. So even though he's got a later Nexus, he could still do well. The Oracle turning on its laser beam, just going to try and drain that energy. There's no battery overcharge energy until the natural finishes here. So if that runs out, this could be huge, especially with the Zealot adding its damage output.
Oh yeah, the Zealot got inside. Pylon got cut through or cancelled, and now a lot of mineral line damage is happening, and Ranger's scrambling here, not only with the 31 supply block, but also just not microing his Oracle that was ranged, that was just sort of rallied into the mineral line. It didn't do anything.
This is huge. And he's going to come in with another Oracle right now. Those probes are exposed.
Oh, no.
The shield battery finishes up in the mineral line. Ranger is getting run over right now. Probe doing so well. Battery overcharge does get activated, though. He should get out of there. He will get out. Keeping 2 oracles alive means he's still got that lethal number. Only 1 heavily damaged oracle on the map for Ranger. Ranger down 13 workers. Ooh. This has been a disaster of an opening, Maynard.
Yeah, it just feels like he's just playing a little scared, maybe a little jittery. And something like that is, you know, you're not going to get away with making mistakes, basic mistakes, against someone as good as Probe.
Yeah, no, forgetting the 3rd pylon 2 games in a row, this is not how Ranger normally plays. I've seen him play so many games so much better than this before. It is unfortunate that he's making these mistakes on such a big moment of his career. He's going to have to pull things together and fight hard. Oracle. Getting back into this game is going to be so difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, just seeing miss micro and just sort of like slower multitasking from Ranger. Hopefully he can put the fires out and stabilize, but at the moment, you know, he's still got Probe breathing down his neck. This double Oracle is a constant threat. The Ranger's just going to drop the Dark Shrine. I think that's an all right choice from Ranger. It's pretty YOLO, but at this point, you know, he's not being able to keep up so far in this game. So I think a Dark Shrine, the Invisible Man, it's a bit of a throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, but it could definitely work.
It's probably the best play right now. There's a reason why we do say that phrase, when behind Dark Shrine. It's one of those plays that can kill your opponent. If he's got 2 oracles out, the dream here for Ranger is you snipe one of those oracles, maybe even both of them, and if you can do that, he's not going to have a Robo, right? Because the thing is, you can't afford Robo and an Oracle for detection. So you always just rely on one or the other. But if those Oracles don't see the DT Shrine and out of position, the DTs can do big damage. Also, if those Oracles die, it could just be a straight up win condition.
Mm-hmm. The Stalker getting warped in is going to get that last shot on the Oracle. Good night, sweet prince. And down it goes. Now, as far as detection is concerned, Probe's entire detection is reliant on these Oracles, which can be recalled home. But he does have a Forge on the way, so potentially have some cannons up in a short while. But it is just about time to warp in DTs, and there is that proxy pylon, which I think Probe's about to see with his Probe going out for the 3rd. He's just out of vision of it.
He's just out of vision as well. He doesn't see the DT Shrine here. DT's warping in right next to his Nexus. He doesn't know about it. Oh no, his Forge is finishing, but if he doesn't put cannons down or get those Oracles home right now... He's actually got
no energy on the Oracles in a minute.
Oh,
if he Pulsar beams a little bit more, he just dropped a Revelation.
Oh, this is so bad for Probe.
He's got no energy.
He's so far ahead, but not for long. Ranger fighting back into this game. Cannon goes down in the natural immediately. That's going to be something he can pull to that cannon at least. This is only 1 DT to start. Another one is rallying in. Probe right now. Okay, quick response so far. He's looking calm. He's going to quickly recall those Oracles.
Yeah, and the DT's got 6 probes, which is fantastic, but looks like he did manage to get the Revelation tag on there. Just getting enough energy on that Oracle. 1 more Revelation tag. And that young lad's going down. Now, 6 probes going down. Bit of pylon damage, bit of infrastructure being slowed down for Ranger. It's something. But the army of Probe is still extremely scary, and I wouldn't necessarily say that Ranger is winning this game off the back of it, but it definitely helped.
It definitely did help. It was a good trade in of itself. Does not erase the mistakes earlier on in this game, though, and the problems that have happened for him. So overall, Probe was very quick with the snap recall, even though he spent the energy. Remember, Revelation's only 25 energy. It's not 50. Oracles used to actually be a lot worse detection than they are these days. These days, they can spam out the detection a lot easier.
Well, Probe's got a proxy robo.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
Oh, he's just going to one-shot everything.
Yep.
Beautiful, decisive move. Yeah. That's it, man. Yep, nothing Ranger can do. He just doesn't have the numbers here. And that is all because of that early game. Probe's macro has been super solid. And even though he was blindsided by the DTs, he handled it with real poise.
Indeed. And this Immortal is the lifeline for Ranger, and lifeline has been cut. That's going to be it, unfortunately, for our Malaysian hero, who is having a bit of a rough time in this best of 5 so far.
Unfortunate early games, really, for him. He's still microing well and trying to fight back from behind, but it's always with 1/4, 1/3 of the pieces that his opponent has.
Dude, do not give someone like Probe momentum, man. Do not give him the momentum. He becomes a steamroller. There's literally that, whenever you see a cartoon of a little snowball rolling down a hill and then it becomes the size of a skyscraper, that is what Probe is like in these tournaments.
Yeah, you could see he almost had a look on his face like, hey, this is easier than I expected it to be. And it absolutely is. Honestly, everybody's been in a tournament like this where they've made a silly mistake. It's usually forgetting the 2nd pylon for a little bit, forgetting the 3rd pylon 2 games in a row. Though it just shows that Ranger needs to kind of find a moment now to reset his mind state. He needs to just breathe, because he was meant to have 2 Stalkers out 30 seconds before this. Like, you know, we can look at this and say, oh, he didn't multitask that. Yeah, I mean, it's because he's in a terrible position. It all stems from an unforgivable mistake, which he almost never does. I mean, this is such a disaster of a situation. From there, he did make a few more mistakes like this one, but it's unfortunate, not only for Ranger, but I think also, like, I'd really like to see Probe work hard for it. Like, at the moment, Probe's just playing a good, solid early game, and he's winning before he even has to do any exceptional plays. And I don't think Ranger's going to give him a third one in a row with that advantage. Ranger will absolutely rally now and fight hard. He has come back and made reversals happen, down 0-2 before. So I still believe in that Malaysian powerhouse, but he's got to just put these games in the past, pretend they didn't happen, and just move into the next game completely just in control, focused, and in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a tough recovery for Ranger. You know, he's been knocked down pretty hard here in some pretty demoralizing games. You know, a lot of people would not be happy at all with the simple, like making simple mistakes like that, 2 maps in a row, and just getting knocked back by a guy that you know you can beat. You have beaten in best of fives. In fact, you beat him the season beforehand, and it is someone that you have the skills to beat, but you're just not showing your best play. That's sometimes the most frustrating thing. It's even more frustrating than being outclassed by someone that's just way better than you. It's you know, you're being beaten by yourself. Is essentially what it feels like.
Yeah, he's been driving. He's in like a car race, Maynard, and he's left the handbrake on for the first few laps. Like, it's
we've all been there. Yeah.
it's
You're like, what's that smell?
yeah, like, why? What's going on? What's that sound and smell? I'm like, this is insane, dude. Yeah, it really is very, very weird to see that happen 2 games in a row. I remember, was it last season or the season before, there was a game where Probe forgot his second pylon because he went Cybercore first, and he was used to going Nexus before Cybercore. I think it was a PVZ, and he just couldn't build the Adept. So he was just chrono boosting into a supply block, and Mio's 6 Lings ran in and just won the game. And Probe was like, like, you know, he was upset about it, but it does happen to players. Sometimes it's just a small change to your build. You're really focused on, like, ooh, is he proxying me, or I'm doing some special little adjustment to my build order. And at this point, Ranger's just got to get those basics going for the first few minutes, put himself in with a much better chance to just play his normal game.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, for Ranger's sake, it has to be this map needs to be the one where he stabilizes and gets a point on the board. And hopefully, you know, that turns into a reverse sweep. But it is such a tough ask to do that against this guy in the top right, because he is a monster in all the right ways. Currently on match point in the red, representing Oceania, this is Probe.
Down here in the bottom left side, hailing from Malaysia and having an ascent to greatness in the last few years. Let's see if he can turn this series around and get it back on track in the blue. It's M8 Hex's Ranger.
Gonna be a 1-gate expand for both players. Map that lends itself to do so.
Yeah, definitely do see those openings from both players. For that reason, going to be blocking, making sure no quick 1-gate expands go down. Ranger was the one who took the second gas quite a bit later, once he saw the Probe was blocking. So I think he was thinking about dropping the Nexus down, but he's like, oh, okay, you're going to block it. Drops a pylon, drops a second gas, and does decide to play that similar game. So far, though, Probe is up 1 worker. Has Probe double chronoed Probes? Okay, if we could just check both players' Nexus. I think Probe spent both, and Ranger hasn't, I don't think.
Yep, looks like it. I think
yeah,
right.
Rangers. So he could chrono an Oracle extra, chrono some Stalkers, something, you know, a bit more aggressive could come out of Ranger, and that is a bit of a tell. But Probe hasn't gone into the main base. Let's see if he notices it now.
They're coming into the main, and this is something that isn't always talked about: is the Nexus energy. But the pros know better, and they will calculate based on the scouting here. So. Once again, Zealots in both naturals, as is tradition with the 1-gate expand. You are going to be pylon blocked, usually by the scouting probe, so forces out that Zealot. But you still get a much faster Nexus than you normally would if you were just going for a 2-gate. Stargate in the wall here for Probe, the more safe, more well-rounded, more I guess safe is just where I could have left it there.
Safe said it all, Maynard.
I was going for a third analogy. I'm like, nah, it's just safe.
Yeah.
Just leave it.
You know, like safe.
Sometimes
like,
less is more, Maynard.
free from harm, protected.
Guys,
it has barrier. It's like, you know.
It's been 6 months since I'm cast something, guys. The old man still got it, all right? You gotta believe.
I'm always happy to play synonyms with you, Maynard, or you know, analogies.
Dude,
Synonyms.
I was at the supermarket the other day, and I could not say the word edamame.
Oh, dude, I had that just the other day as well. Yeah, a probe was snacking on edamame, and I was like, "What's he eating?" Oh, Twitch chat is updated. It's edamame.
I was like, edamame. Yeah, I was at Coles, and I was just asking, like, "Hey, man, where's your edamame?" Oh God, am I getting dementia? Adept showing up in the natural here, looking for a little bit of probe damage from probe.
That's very good he's denying this, because Probe didn't commit to the Cybercore block. Ranger did, but neither of them has a Nexus down yet. So that actually works out quite fine. And the tech is up in the main going for Phoenix for Ranger, but it's a very delayed Phoenix. So it really feels like that's only utility is to deny the double Oracle. And oh my gosh, this Adept is being such a nuisance right now.
Yeah. She's really getting work done. And even though she's being outnumbered and outgunned, she may escape, or even just, you know, give her life to the cause. Sees the Stargate, sees the Phoenix.
Yeah, great scouting. So the Phoenix tech, I mean, obviously he's only going to build one and probably go Twilight now as Ranger. Ranger drops the Nexus down. It's not too much later, but Probe is up 3 workers so far. Probe is going for the second Oracle. He's going to hide those off on the side of the map. Phoenix production does restart now, so Ranger will get a couple of those. But he doesn't have the same information that Probe does. Probe playing very confidently, handling the early game really well. He's just going to go into Twilight Council, Blink, extra Stalkers off of this economy lead.
Yeah. So just going to be careful and play reactive to what he's seeing from Ranger off the back of this double Oracle. The double Oracle is a complete threat. The two Phoenixes are going to shoo it back and force a recall here, or at least a fly home. They're pretty fast flying units.
Often you'll wait, and you'll wait for the Phoenix to show up in your base, but oh, if he's watching, you'll find him if he's watching, and he is.
All right. Yeah, that means Probe's going to have to just fly on home. A little late on that recall. Has he got no energy?
No recall energy. His natural just finishes now, but it's too late. It's too late. Oh
no, Probe. A little bit too heavy on that chrono. And unfortunately, it does go down. So that's a lovely, lovely start here for Ranger here.
Yeah, really good moves by Ranger. The way he went out there and just checked along the edge of the map. He's also got, is that a forward pylon up on Probe's side of the map? Yeah, it is. So he could warp in aggressively, but he's gone his own Twilight and Robo. So I imagine this is just for Adept warp-ins.
Yep. Just to keep the worker pressure on Probe. And I love this from Ranger. I love the Proxy Dark Shrine.
I like it as a tech. I hate the placement though, man.
Yeah,
that's outside
the
Probe's
third base of his opponent.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, that's literally going to get spotted the moment he blinks out to try and chase the Phoenix or anything, which he will be doing very soon. Phoenix trying to fight Stalker is a very ballsy move. Gets one, but does take a ton of damage. DT Shrine going down for Probe right now. Oh my god.
What a weird game so far.
I mean, I guess he knows he's full walled in. Probe's going to kill his own Stargate now. That's his only detection structure, Maynard. Like, he doesn't have a Robo or a Forge.
He may just die to the Invisible Men. This killing the Stargate is going to kill him.
Oh man, yeah, the Phoenix need to like distract. Anything he can do to just delay Probe from moving out. Oh my god, because the way Probe holds this is walling off his base. Like, if he sees this DT Shrine, he might just wall off his base. I do think this was a big mistake from Ranger. He could have just built that DT Shrine in his main because he knows the opponent's both Oracles died. But Probe expands to the bottom. Oh, I guess he knows that Probe does prefer this base, so he's less likely to move up to that side. Oh my god, Maynard, I think Ranger...
Yeah, I think this might
said
be
it was
checkmate.
dumb, but I think it might be prepared genius.
I'm with you, Pig. I'm going to give you all the credit that you deserve, you beautiful, beautiful man with your big, sexy brain. It is a brilliant idea from Ranger, but the placement is dumb. It's very risky.
Oh, look at that. He has no idea. That's going to be... Oh, he sees it. He sees it. But he's got nothing. He can't build anything. He can't make an Oracle. He can't make a Forge. And that's GG.
GG. Yep, the checkmate DTs. You'll see him once, you'll see him again. That's StarCraft, baby.
Yeah. That is the face there of a man that just got PvP'd. Probe talking to himself a little bit, having a sip of the water. It suddenly tastes like someone poured a bit of salt in there, but
yeah.
That's what happens when those DTs come in and get you. Very bad luck for Probe. Great plate for Ranger, though. The early game did look a little rough for him. Felt like Probe was obviously rolling in that confidence from the previous couple of games. The Adept being really annoying, but no massive lead. And then catching the 2 Oracles, shutting that down, and immediately saying, you know what, DT's going to be perfect here. Great game sense for Ranger.
Indeed, very well played. And I also, you know, it was an EV play. Like, you don't know, is there going to be more stuff coming out of the Stargate? There's probably a different structure to get out. In that case, maybe the game continues. He has detection, he takes damage, and he's behind, but the game continues. So he got a little bit lucky there as well. But this win for Ranger does mean that hopefully some momentum can start to build on his side of the fence. We're going to take a short break. When we return, can he take it to the ace match? Don't go away. Probe Ranger coming up soon. What's going on, mates? Welcome back. Whoops. Whoa.
Whoa!
We were there, and then we weren't there, and then we were there again. Whoa! We're in the production zone. All right. Guys, you're watching Probe versus Ranger. You're watching the DreamHack Masters main event here for Oceania. And, man, Probe currently still on match point. Ranger getting very build ordery in game 3 there and getting the dub with a weird proxy that was extremely effective with the Dark Shrine, the invisible men with the capes running up into the natural and just chopping the head off Probe.
I mean, some great mind games to start it off. There was an Adept in his base. He let it see a single defensive Phoenix. And as soon as that Adept was dead, he was like, I'm building more Phoenix. Went out there, caught the Oracles, cleaned up all the detection, had full vision, full scouting. And yeah, said, you know what? I can't afford multiple proxies. I'm going to build a DT shrine literally outside your main base. And it was absolutely savage. He knew Probe's expansion pattern would be in the opposite direction. And Probe took down his own Stargate, both opening the path to the DTs and removing the only structure that could react by building detection units.
Yeah, like a lot of what keeps you safe in that particular game for Probe is his offense, weirdly enough, which is the Stargate, which is his Oracles. You know, that is what keeps you alive defensively, and also what slows down your opponent offensively is the Pulsar Beam, and also the Revelations defensively. So not having those Oracles alive at any point, not being able to recall them for a snap, quick Revelation, anything like that, just, you know, is a build order win for a guy that plays DTs. You don't have a Robo, you're expanding, you're taking your own Dark Shrine, you can't afford any other kind of option. So unfortunately for Probe, it does go down the way it goes down. But this game is a brand new game here on Cosmic Sapphire. Can he still win it? He is on match point. This is Probe.
And a very necessary victory there. He's finally managed to put a halt on Probe's momentum. In the top left side of the map, representing M8 Hexa, it's Ranger.
You got the dubstep intro. That's the most esports intro.
Well, hopefully you can channel some of that Liquid Hero 2011 micro, you know, if I think of the dubstep age of StarCraft, maybe you'll be bringing back Mass Blink Stalker, Art of the Swarm style strategies, who knows?
Yeah, that's it. Is the age of dubstep from 2010 to current, apparently. Always surprised when I hear it existing anywhere else.
Well, both players are playing very safe. Second gateway opening, and neither player hiding a pylon. Obviously, they both scouted, and they both kind of see, hey, you're doing normal things. I'm also doing normal things. So if there was ever a game where Probe wanted to go Sentry Stalker, just take a really safe expand, use Hallucination to scout, this would be it. Knowing Ranger's kind of just general MO, I would expect him to probably go double Adept or double Stalker here and get something going, but either player could just expand. It's actually Ranger who goes for the Sentry Stalker, so he's thinking about getting the scouting and expanding. Probe going for 2 Stalkers, a little bit more ability to push across the map with that, but it doesn't have the advantage of that early hallucination. So Probe's going to be a bit more blind this early game.
Yeah, but you know, the power of the double Stalker is quite versatile, and of course have a lot of firepower on the front lines there, and you definitely get to own the map for the early few minutes anyway.
Great scout. He'll get the Probe out of there, at least, unless the Stalker chases it down, which will take a while to catch it. So, very nice scout by Probe.
Oh, there's a Probe in the main of Probe still from Ranger. Oh, he was trying to hide it.
T-Ball already tried to do that to him on Stargazers, and Probe, I think, has been traumatized by sneaky pylons in his base too many times, so not going to fall for that. Double Adept coming out after the Sentry Stalker. Interesting. Usually, Sentry Stalker to start, it doesn't get you to Adepts quite so early as this, so a cool little twist there for Ranger. Probe is going to go for a very quick Stargate before expansion himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stargate is coming on down, and again, is the more, I always feel like the more versatile, more safe option for Protoss to go for that. Doesn't want to throw this game away by doing something too silly, too YOLO.
Oh, 2 Adepts and 2 Stalkers beat 2 Adepts and 1 Stalker Maynard. So very nice attempts to try and focus each other down. It looks like the Stalker, did it get taken down by the Adepts?
I think the low hit point one, I thought the other Adepts might have shaded to pick it off. No, actually Pro hasn't lost anything.
It must have died just before it shaded, right? Wow, very, very good trades for him. That gives him full map control right now. And he's got Oracles coming out behind it. Oh, very tough position to be in for Ranger. Sentry doesn't add much to these early fights. And this is part of the reason why you often don't see people go double adept after Sentry Stalker, because Sentry Stalker's not as good at fighting, right, as 2 Stalkers. And then to go 2 Adepts, which are also the inferior fighting units, it does put you at a bit of a deficit. That is, of course, the danger we're seeing now. But good scouting by Ranger. He knows about the Stargate, so he is well prepared with shield batteries in both bases. He's up a worker right now as well.
Yeah, transferring probes there was a bit of a juicier attack opportunity there for Probe, but didn't capitalize. Just drops the Revelation and leaves. But again, like, Ranger now has to worry about the fact that there is an Oracle, and likely there's going to be a second one to follow up. I don't think Probe is going for that second Oracle, though, if I'm not mistaken. He's actually switching gears here, dropping a Proxy Pylon, getting Blink on his side of the map as well.
Well, the thing is,
get in.
Ooh, okay, not bad. Gets one there. Doesn't want to necessarily throw them away. Ooh, okay, gets a second rallying probe. Sentry. Oh, gets back to the battery. Well microed by Ranger there. Can he get this adept? It will get heavily damaged, but will shade on out. Now, as I was saying, I love the mind game of the double Oracle. You know, so many people go double Oracle, but Ranger has to assume there's a double Oracle. So he's always got to have Stalkers in his mineral lines anyway.
3 gate, 4 gate, 4 gate. Oh, it's 3, because you got 2 in the main.
Yeah, I think he has 3 at home, right? Because his Stargate's in his natural.
Right on.
Oh, maybe only 3 gate, actually. Either way, it definitely can be used aggressively. You're going to add a Robo in case DTs are coming in. So a sharp blink pressure. The aim here for Probe is he wants to deny the third of Ranger while getting his own third up behind it. It's usually not a kill move, but it easily could spiral out of control and become that.
Ranger's Hallucinated Phoenix is going to see the Robo, going to see oh no, it is a 4 gate. Oh. Okay, very dedicated here from Probe.
Right now, Ranger's been really good on his production. He's adding 2 more gateways of his own, so I think Ranger's in a pretty good position, but he needs to get a shield battery up on that third to help defend. Remember, he doesn't know that there's only 1 Oracle, so he's going to be leaving Stalkers in his main base, maybe someone is natural. Meanwhile, Probe is just going to be gathering up a massive Stalkers, blinking on the front, and he could kill a few of Ranger's Stalkers potentially before he even has a chance to group up.
Yeah, not a huge army supply advantage for Probe, but he's going to have more production, and he's going to be right in Ranger's face as well. So he's going to be able to keep the pressure up, keep the boot on the throat of Ranger. Big blink forward for Probe, huge dive, gets 2 Stalkers, 3 Stalkers immediately.
That's what I'm talking about. The momentum, the surprise factor. The army supply was pretty even, but Ranger didn't know it was coming, and he loses 3 Stalkers instantly. Shield battery does a lot of work there. Probe's going to have to back off. Finally loses 1 of his own Stalkers, but not before taking a fantastic trade. And he's got that third base coming up behind it. Probe could move down to the left and deny the third base. Instead, he's looking to blink in the main base.
Yeah, Oracle going to give him that high ground vision, and in he goes. Some important tech up here. Also can potentially just get a concave on Ranger, who's in a little bit of a choke point, but no, he does get pushed back. Probe ready to just blink on out.
Oh, very nice defense by Ranger. Still trailing massively in the army supply, though. His third is up way quicker. I don't see how he ever uses it, though. Stasis trap here. Oh, that's going to be such a nice bait there for Probe. Oh, this is so beautifully done. A massive trap.
Yeah, and now that third is done. Probe can just cut that third off from the infrastructure of Ranger, and that was Ranger's advantage right there.
Yeah, that is absolutely massive. I mean, the thing is, he could actually go in the natural and win the game as well. Probe's kind of playing it safe, gets the Nexus, but then he's like, wait, I can kill this too. I can take out everything. He can just commit in that natural.
A lot of Stalkers from Ranger, but yeah, no, I agree with you. Probe's got a big army supply lead, but he's got options. Like, he can also just disengage and take the huge econ advantage.
Yep, he's got the best of both worlds right now, Maynard. Going for the better economy, and he's maintaining a bigger army on the doorstep. Upgrades are on the way. The Oracle can continue to work the main base. Observer does see him getting in position. Probe, ooh, might be an overcommitment. Ranger's already up there.
And he's target firing the Robo for a little bit too long there. Wasn't watching his army for a second. The Stalkers of Ranger do get some free shots off. And a bit of a trade on both sides. Wow, the blink chase from Ranger. He's had enough of this.
Oh, he knows he needs to.
Oh, not again.
Not again. Oh. Ranger is just walking into stasis traps again and again in this series. They are, of course, invisible for him. All he sees is a slight shimmer on his screen. Very easy to miss that. DT Shrine on the way for Probe. Up 18 workers, but the army supply has equalized for now. Charge is on the way for Probe. Ranger is going to try and fight back, but down 18 workers is just such a huge deficit.
Love the aggressive switch up here from Probe, just being in Ranger's face, playing against his image a little bit, playing a bit more like how Ranger would play. Proxy in that gateway, going for 4-gate aggression with the Blink Stalkers and the Stasis Wards being amazing. Another big Stasis in the main, by the way. Wow. These Stasis Wards have been MVP for Probe in this game.
Can we click that Oracle? Does it have any kills? It doesn't need any of these kills to actually be valuable. Yeah, zero kills.
Nah, it's just
but it's trapped like 1,000 stalkers and like 12 probes as well.
Like no kill. Like it's one of those like you check the kill feeds and you're like, bro, what are you doing? It's like I'm the healer, man. I'm the support role. That's what that Oracle is. It's not actually healing things, but it is supporting like crazy.
36 assists.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh man, Stalkers will finally get it. The Oracle does go down. It's already done so much though. Another
for good luck.
Stalker gets set off there. Fourth base is on the way for Probe. He's got a big army advantage. Big charge lot Archon Zealot push with some Immortals was how he finished T-Ball off in their final game, and I think you can see him moving forward. I don't think he waits for +2 here. It really does look like he realizes, hey, now's the time. I've got a much better army. I'm well ahead on the economy and the momentum. You know, let's keep taking the fight to my opponent.
Now, Ranger does have observers, but they have been sent out on the map, rather. So, he's got the 1, excuse me. I thought he had 2.
Nice. Adeptoras gets 7 workers here, trying to shade into the main. Stalker's going to try and deal with that. The cannon, of course, had already damaged them. Great management. Oh, he gets in the main. It's undefended right now. Wow, Ranger's doing really well.
Very good probe damage, but the
DTs are going to hit his natural at the same time. Yeah, Probe's distracting here, trying to get a fight to happen, and the DTs are going to hit Ranger's natural.
Yeah, so while that's a lot of probe damage for Ranger, he's done very, very well. He's about to take his own in a few short seconds here. Now, Probe is beginning the assault, and in come the DTs. Observer in position for Ranger. He did create one relatively recently. The fight here at the front is quite even. Probe actually giving up a bit of ground here and pulling back to the middle of the map.
Oh, so many workers going down on that natural expand. I would have loved some of the DTs to get in the main base. He's going to recall 2 of those DTs. A few of them are in the 4th base as well. 54 workers to 36, still maintaining a 20 worker advantage. +2 attack is about to kick in. Archon's being added to the army of
3
Probe.
observers together.
Oh, and look at this. The DTs are running all over this shop. Shades of max packs right now, just microing those DTs into every single base. And Ranger does not have the tools to defend it. He's spread so thin. He doesn't, have the money to spare a cannon in each base, because then he'll just get overwhelmed on the front. He's in an impossible situation right now.
Yeah, very rough for Ranger. Brilliantly for Probe, though, and he is standing on the cusp of a dub here. Not just in this map, but that means the series, as he has been on match point for a bit. And come a couple DTs and a few more charge lots as well. Probe could even just start peppering in some Archons into his army to make it even more powerful than it already is.
No such thing as too many DTs, Maynard. Just going to keep going for the harassment. And this is the best way to play PvP, is to do things in many places, many directions, all at once. And the Zealots and DTs on one side. He's got that proxy gate in the top that he's still able to warp off. DTs just trickling into these bases. And he's adding a 4th. Lots of probes, I should say, onto his 4th. He's adding up his 8 gases. He's going up to blink DTs. I would like to see Probe take a 5th base here as well. But, he's so far ahead. If he can just move forwards with his army, I think he can really easily deny Ranger's 4th base.
Yeah, Ranger's army is on the chase of this DT here and is just kind of being weirdly positioned. Ranger's got a bunch of units up here at 12 o'clock just sitting behind the minerals, and he's got a handful of units down at the 3rd nexus as well. His own DTs have come in for a counterplay, but he's been met with cannons in every mineral line. He gets 1 probe and loses the DT. Not good for Ranger.
No, not good at all. Of course, with very fancy micro, you can kind of run in, snag a probe or 2, get out, wait for your shields to regen, rinse and repeat, but it's very APM intensive for minimal value, and losing the DT is absolutely not what you want to have happen. Big armies are facing off in the middle. Probe is still up massively in the army supply. A lot of that spread into these run-by squads, though. Ranger, very nice movement, catches a few Zealots there.
Well, keep in mind that when the armies do clash, not only is Probe's army bigger, it is also better. It's got +2 attack right now, and he's on his way to +3. He's not missing a beat with these upgrades, playing a very clean, beautiful macro game.
Extra robo on the way there for Probe as well. 5th base does go down in the top. What's that rich gas base? It does mine 40% faster. And continuing the upgrade advantage. Ranger's going to try to go to Disruptors. Now, Probe was way ahead in Game 5 versus Ranger in their previous series.
That one.
And he took too long to do anything with it. It was Stargaze, it was hard to break through. One of the big things missing in that game was like big Blink Dark Templar counterattacks. And you can see he's a bit more active with that. But there we go, another Observer Snipe. He's cleaning up Ranger's map vision. If he just adds an Observer to that DT Zealot squad and sends that around the left while his main army pushes the right, I don't see Ranger meeting with those numbers and being able to withstand it. Ranger right now is on a race to max out, add Disruptors, add some static defense, and just survive. He doesn't need a 5th base. He doesn't need Stargates. He just needs to survive right now.
Good catch on that Prism. Definitely a good start for survival. The army of Probe still looming, though, and still extremely strong. And there's the charge lots and DTs coming into that base. Now, that base from Ranger does have that cannon. This small squad on the north side getting deflected. Ranger really dug in like a tick over there at the 4th Nexus.
Oh, I don't know if I see an observer here for
dead.
Probe. He does get rid of the cannon, but oh, no observer for Ranger. So many of those already going down on the map. 9 probes falling here. He recalls a DT there, but not an observer. Without detection, Probe's easily able to walk away, poking with his army on the right side at the same time. No disruptors out just yet. Gets a few more probes, does take down a little bit of this, but disruptors have now shown themselves. Probe very afraid to commit with his main army. But he can go back in with the DTs on the bottom now that he's lured this out of position.
Yeah, now my Ranger in the middle of making observers here means he's not making disruptors as well. So Probe's going to get catching up a little bit there with his own disruptor count. It is tier 3 warfare here. DTs, charge lots, and disruptors being made 2 by 2 here for each player. And now, does Ranger have a win here? It feels like for the next few minutes, Ranger just kind of has to sit there and take it and just hope for a good trade.
Probe is now up to 7 gas geysers. No signs of going for the Stargate transition just yet. That's always the easy thing to do from here. I mean, a Prism in the main, warping in a bunch of Zealots would have been good, but you pointed out he sniped the Prism earlier. So that's slowing Probe down. He's adding a lot of gateways. He never went past, I think, about 8 or 10 gateways. So he's definitely adding a lot more pieces to the puzzle he didn't have last time they ran into each other. On the other hand, though, he is taking a long time to really utilize this bank advantage. He's giving Ranger a lot of space to get back in the game. Now,
yeah,
that
so
could
Ranger
be seen
Ranger went into carriers in game 5, and you know, we were sort of like criticizing it first, going, "Oh, can he afford to do this?" But eventually, you know, survived over time. Several minutes later, he had a fleet of 7 or 8 carriers, and that was a big deal. Oh, good spotting there from Ranger. Good blink back. Oh, this one though.
Okay, only gets 1 disruptor, 1 zealot. Remember that Probe has all the map vision, so it's much harder for Ranger to defend in these situations. He's going to go in with the zealot and the DT, blinking forward, taking out the cannons. And on the right side, he's still scaring Ranger at the same time. Oh, the battery overcharge. Huge, absolutely huge there for Ranger. He keeps that base alive, defends all the DTs. The disruptors have zoned him off this base, but Probe not finding the critical damage. Ranger is still surviving.
Yeah. And that's basically his only option right here, is to keep surviving, hoping that his disruptors get a really good connection. But oh my god! Oh, Ranger, no! That was his comeback unit. That was his lifeline, and Probe just cut it.
You can see the reaction on his camera.
Yeah.
You can see him say that.
I can hear his heartbreak all the way from Malaysia, man. That is just so brutal. That was his comeback, man. I don't know how he does it now.
No, we've all been there before. He knows he cannot withstand a shot like that. Another one's going to land on these Stalkers, and he's obviously upset with that. He's going to go in for a bit of a backstab, see if he can still make something of this, gather himself, but oh, disruptor shots landing on his backstab army. Zealot DT is warping in to defend. Ranger down to the 110 supply versus a maxed out Probe. He's trying to go to the gold base, but Probe's about to find that.
Yeah, oh man. Yeah, the bottom left is going to get scouted here. Probe is just large and in charge here with this army. It is so beastly, so powerful. He could just YOLO and finish this game, but he's just being careful. He's taking them apart piece by piece, does not want to throw the game, does not want to have a repeat of that comeback game 5 for Ranger last time they faced off. This is really looking terrible here for the Malaysian. Probe just needs to not throw these disruptors away.
Yeah. Both sides just kind of zoning each other out with those disruptor shots. Probe is taking a 6th base on the bottom. And he's just zoning here on the top. He's always got the vision advantage. This is Probe's specialty in this matchup, which pretty much everyone struggles with against him. He just vacuums. He goes back and forth on the map, cleaning up all the observers everywhere, and just says, nope, you can't see the map, I can. And that's huge. In Disruptor Wars, you can see when they're not looking at their army, because you can tell by the way it's moving, right? You can kind of come in there, get in the middle of their path, and just throw a Disruptor shot out, get the interception, take out half their army, and that's exactly what Probe set himself up to do. Where here going, oh, he's taking a bit long, he's not leveraging the advantage, but he was just setting up to look for that shot, and he found it. The Zealot DT now going to hit this bottom left side. Probe has been a little derpy with his DT blinks, definitely should be focus firing the cannon battery. There we go, does take a lot of that down, and he's just got so much damage output. Another disruptor shot lands, not in a big way, but enough to keep Ranger very distracted.
Yeah, the numbers down here at the bottom, Probe continues to maintain a 70-80 supply lead over Ranger, so he's doing damage in the bottom left and just trying to chip him to pieces here. And with that huge disruptor advantage, there isn't really anything going Ranger's way. And Probe is adjusting. He's learned from the last series. He's dropped the fleet beacon, 4 more Stargates as well. So even though Probe could win this game with his ground army, he's going to make sure that he's dot every I, crossed every T, and every lowercase J. There is carriers on the way here for Probe, and that is a unit that Ranger cannot handle.
Yeah, 4 carriers on the way at a time, +1 air weapons as well. Probe just adding all of the pieces to make 100% sure that he's won this game. Ranger visibly frustrated, as he should be. He was fighting so hard to get back in this game.
Oh man, heartbreaking for Ranger. He doesn't get through that 3rd spot curse from last season.